Welcome everyone, as we take a look into the nervous system. Its functions are to send electrical as well as chemical signals throughout the body. We have two main systems, the central, which controls the brain and spinal cord, as well as the peripheral, which controls sensory and motor divisions around the rest of the body. Let's take a look.
Welcome to Neural News Network, where we bring you breaking stories from inside your body. I'm Jaden, and tonight we're diving into some electrifying science, literally. What makes your nerves fire? How does an impulse travel? For answers, we turn to our science reporter, Mark.
Thanks, Jaden. I'm standing here on location. Well, inside a nerve cell, where things are shockingly active. But before we get into the action, let's start with what's happening when the nerve is at rest. Dr. Casey, can you explain the resting membrane potential for our viewers?
Of course, Mark. When a neuron is resting, it's not sending a signal, but it's still charged. The inside of a neuron is more negative compared to the outside. This happens because there are more sodium ions outside and more potassium ions inside the cell. The cell membrane keeps the balance using the sodium-potassium ATPase pump, which actively moves 3 sodium ions out and 2 potassium ions in. This creates a voltage difference about -70 millivolts, known as the resting membrane potential.
So, it's like the neuron is a battery waiting to be switched on.
Exactly! It's primed and ready for action.
And that action begins with something called local depolarization, right?
Correct! Let's head back to Elisa for the play-by-play.
During local depolarization, a stimulus, like a touch from another neuron, causes sodium channels to open, and sodium rushes inside the cell. If the change reaches a certain threshold, like -55 millivolts, the neuron fires an action potential, and the electrical signal races down the axon. Think of it as a neuron shouting, "Message sent!"
That's incredible! But after the neuron fires, it has to reset, right?
Yes, that's where local repolarization comes in. Right after sodium flows in, potassium channels open, allowing potassium to flow out. This brings the inside of the cell back to a more negative state. Sometimes it even gets a little too negative. That's called hyperpolarization, before the sodium-potassium pump restores the original resting membrane potential.
So, to sum it up, during resting membrane potential, a neuron is charged and waiting. During depolarization, sodium rushes in and the neuron fires. During repolarization, potassium flows out and the neuron resets. Did I get that right?
Perfect summary, Jaden. That's the nerve's version of ready, set, fire, reset.
And that's how every thought, movement, and sensation travels through your nervous system, one tiny spark at a time.
Fascinating stuff. That's all from Neural News Network. Stay tuned for more breathtaking science inside you.